Hi, welcome to the beginning of April. And if you're like everyone else in the world, you're quarantined. So, let me walk you through my COVID garden. Let's go outside.
Just kidding, it snowed.
So, I'm going to cover indoor seed starting.
Now, the first thing you want to do is you want to prep the soil for your seeds. I have this seed starting mix, Jiffy Professional. It's as professional as you can get from Lowe's, Home Depot, Walmart, etc. Now, what it really is it's just fine soil that is easy for your seeds to propagate into. Now, if you want to know a little bit more about soil, check out my video on soil testing. So with this, we're just going to go real simple here. I'm going to take 5-gallon bucket. Take the 16 quarts or whatever you have on hand, dump it right into that bucket. Oh look, I have another 16 gallons. Now, I'm using a 5-gallon bucket because I want to keep everything clean and orderly. Alright, so there we go. 5 gallons of seed starting mix, perfect for indoor gardening. So the next thing that I want to do is I want to test the soil, see how the nutrient levels are in it, just to see what I need to supplement, what I need to add, so the seeds have their best shot at growing. Now, it's not going to be as in-depth as my soil testing video, so if you want to know a little bit more about the process, go ahead and check that out. So what I discovered is that the pH is fine, but it has almost no nitrogen, phosphorus, or potassium.
So, to fix the issue, I'm just going to go with Miracle-Gro. Now, if you know much about it, Miracle-Gro is 24, 8, 16. And that means it's got 24% nitrogen, 8% phosphorus, and 16% potassium. So this should get everything started pretty well. And there you have it. This is 1 pint, so we'll need 7 more of these to water our first tray.
Now that we have the seed starting mix tested and we know where the nutrients sit, let's get in the pots for the seeds. Standard plastic tray that you can get pretty much anywhere. Anything will work on this. Don't feel like you have to go out and buy a bunch of extra stuff. I use the 3-inch biodegradable Jiffy cups. You want to fill it to just at the top. It's going to go down once you pack it. And this tray will hold 18 of these 3-inch cups. And there we go. 18 cups ready for seeds. When you're choosing seeds, it really depends on what you like, what type of garden you're trying to grow, and what your climate can sustain. Here, I live in the U.S. Department of Agriculture Zone 4. Now, if you want to know more about what those zones mean, there's going to be a link down in the description. But what it really means to me is that I have a growing season from Memorial Day to Labor Day, and that's pretty much all I have. So I've chosen seeds accordingly. Now, the seeds that I've chosen, I like to keep in small Ziploc Tupperware containers. To me, they're just easier to store than seed packets, and you can add on to them when you harvest seeds at the end of the year. Now, I've chosen cauliflower, summer squash, strawberries, basil, zucchini, mammoth basil, Brandywine tomatoes, and Independence Day tomatoes. I also have some seeds that I got out of a spaghetti squash yesterday. We'll see how it turns out.
Okay, now I'm going to start with the longest duration, which is going to be the spaghetti squash. They're a winter squash, so it's going to take a lot of time for them to mature. So I'm going to go ahead and place them in. Now, squash is interesting because you do have an up and a down. This is up, and this is down. Now I'm going to do 3 per. Now if you mess up which way you put it up or down, not a big deal. The seeds will self-correct. Back them down. That'll cover the 1/4 inch. Rinse and repeat. These are the easy sow. So they have fertilizer and coloration. Obviously strawberry seeds are much smaller than this. Okay, so next up we're going to set it in place and get our heating mat out. So seeds need a specific moisture and temperature level to be able to germinate. Now this heating mat I bought at a farm and ranch store, but there are plenty of them available through online retailers or your standard retailer. As you can see, it's got a lot of instructions on it. I'm going to go ahead and read through these, but for right now, it's giving me ideas on how to use it and what specific plants need as far as temperature. But we'll deal with all of that later. For now, let's just get it set up.
These are the zucchini, summer squash, and cauliflower.
And for this batch, we're going with sweet basil, mammoth basil, and Independence Day tomatoes. All right, we have all of the seeds sown. Now it's time to set up the grow lights and the heating pads. Now, you don't necessarily need to use these. It really depends on what your conditions are. For me, I'm still in 40-degree weather outside, so I really want to use the heating pads to get a jump start on the seeds. Now, with the grow lights, you may or may not need them depending on what type of access you have to sunlight. If you've got good access to sunlight, southern-facing windows, go ahead and use that. I'm not saying you need to purchase a bunch of equipment to start your seeds, because really all you need is water, soil, sunlight. That's it. Alright, so let's get started. Now, I have a second heating mat. I'm only going to be using 2 on this setup, just because that's what I've got. I've got a power strip that I'm going to be hooking everything into. We'll just start with that heating pad right there. Now I'm going to skip the center, because it's going to heat from both sides. Okay, grow lights are set. Alright, now the last step is pretty simple. Water the seedlings. I've got the Miracle-Gro that I prepped.
Now, when you water seedlings, you always want to water from the tray up so that you don't disturb where the seed's planted.
One more. Now I just need to go ahead and add the other 7 to each. Let's go ahead and get started.
I'm being very careful here to not overwater the top of it so that the seeds stay set.
I'll add the rest off camera. Now the last thing I'm going to do is put the plastic domes on top of these. I'm going to put it on the 2 with the heating pad. And there we go. That's all there is to it. Now let's just sit back, relax, and watch them grow. Alright, so if you're afraid of going to the grocery store and putting on a mask and standing 6 feet apart, this is a great way to supplement your food supply. I've revamped the series, so tune in next week for more of My COVID Garden.